Hey there! Today I'm going to show you how I like to clean carboys. Obviously I have a bit of an advantage here over some people just with my massive sink in the brewery here. It's great to have a location like this. If you don't though, in the garage, on the back deck, just depending on the weather and your climate and all that kind of stuff, it's all good. What you can see here, this is carboy number 3 that I'll be cleaning. It still has some slurry and stuff in it. Left over from that gear that I just transferred. So I'm just going to dump it out. Quickly try and clean out the sink just a little bit because we'll be placing the carboy back down. And I don't want to have a bunch of crud in there to get on the bottom of this. We'll just give it a nice rinse. Of course, this yeast cake was so hard packed that it doesn't want to break up and wash down the sink. There we go. So I'll give it one more rinse here. Just kind of swirl around. Having a nice big faucet like this is also super helpful, but if you don't have that, as long as you can get, I wouldn't say hot water, but you know, warm water in there. You don't want the water to be so hot that it can possibly degrade the glass and possibly even cause cracking issues. I haven't had that before with hot glass because of hot water, but I know people that have, so try to avoid that. Okay, so the next step here is I'm going to be using PBW by 5 Star to clean this out. I've been using this for years and it works super well. I'm not exactly sure what the for sure measurement is of this, maybe close to 2 tablespoons. It's just an OxyClean scoop. Any comparably sized scoop, I use about 3/4 of that. And then I fill it up almost all the way. So I'm going to fill it up and I'm going to let it sit there for a little bit. You can see these other 2 carboys, I did that previously as I was transferring these beers. It's just going to get some of this more hardened on Krausen line just to break up a little bit. And once they've soaked for about an hour or so each, then I'm going to take my brush to them and give them a scrub. So we'll see what that's like in an hour. So I've just filled up the 3rd carboy. One other quick thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a little bit here of PBW and I'm going to put it into this 1-ish gallon bucket. The purpose of this is to clean the blow-off lines and the carboy hoods. So if you're using those, this is a great way to clean them. Alternatively, if you're using stoppers with airlocks, this is another thing that you can do with that, is to clean them off. You might need a little bit less water than I'm using here, just because I've got all the blow-off lines and everything that are going to go in. So I'll just have that mostly full. I'll set it in there. Just remove this blow-off line. I like to heat it up. Heat up the vinyl tube just a little bit, and it pops right off. And then before I take this thermal oil out, I don't want to get too much gunk stuck up in there. So I'm just going to give it a wipe with a scrubby, get most of it off. And then I'm actually going to wait to put this into the carboy. I did throw one in that one, and then I realized that that's going to be a pain in the butt when I go in there with the brush. It'll be all right, I'll just have to be careful. So this I'm just going to set aside until after I scrub that. However, the carboy hoods and the blow-off lines are going to go in. So I'll start with the blow-off lines just because they're going to occupy the most space. Let's give them a little rinse. You can see this one here especially needs cleaning. It's got gunk because it actually blew off a little bit. So I'm just going to push it down into this PBW water. Slowly spin it around the perimeter. If you go nice and slowly, you actually fill the entire hose with the solution, which is sort of the point. Keep that down there. Wrap this around. Let it fill up. And the 3rd one. The nice thing about using this stuff, I know there are other cleaners out there. I like this particular product. I find it does a lot of the work for me, and I also bought a 50-pound bucket of it, so I've got enough for the rest of my life, I think. So that's what I'll be sticking with. So I've got that in there. I'm just going to throw the carboy hoods in, let them soak, and I'll come back to the carboys when they're ready for a scrub-a-dub. Alright, here we are. So it's been a little over an hour, and what we've got here, you can see that there is obviously some breaking down of that krausen stuff that's in there. This one here is actually virtually gone, as is this other one over here. Which is probably why they look a lot darker, because all this other stuff is in solution. But what I will do with all of them regardless is just using my big carboy brush here, I'm going to now do a little scrub-a-dub-dub, particularly on that krausen, but all the way. So I do this side-to-side motion all the way down to the bottom, and then all the way up, and then I go with an up and down motion here as well. And I work my way around the entire carboy doing this, and I find that this helps prevent any sort of residue or anything on the interior walls of the carboys. Back when I first started to use PBW, there were a few times where I just let it go and I'm like, oh, well, that probably did the job all right. But then after the carboys dried, you could see that there was still some kind of a scummy residue on the inside of the carboys. So obviously I don't want that to happen, because those are just locations where bacteria and crap can adhere and wind up causing some troubles down the road with some of your beers. So I'm just going to do this, and I like to do the side to side and up and down, because that theoretically should smash stuff. Theoretically should get rid of everything that is in there on the sides. So yeah, just wrapping this one up here really quickly, and then I will get the other ones done. But firstly, when I go to remove this, I like to just take a cloth or some paper towel to do that, so I don't take a big load of star sand in the face. And then I will just top it up with some more hot water, and likely I'll probably have to top it up a couple of more times today, just because as it's working, it's going to just kind of drop down. I like to keep it topped up so I don't wind up with any kind of little bit of a film on the inside there. So, all right, I'll get these other ones done, and then I will see what it looks like after a while. All right, so these are ready to go, basically cleaned out, looking all good. So what I'm going to do now is I need to dump it out. So I'm just going to set it up here for a second. Now, one thing I have to consider is that my thermal well is sitting in here, and I don't necessarily want to accidentally wreck it. So I'm just going to set that cloth down in the bottom of the sink, so the thermal well can jump out and hit that instead. It's a little deflection. So now I just need to dump the water out. I find the easiest way is to get it swirling clockwise. Create a funnel. And let it drain out. This extra agitation in there probably doesn't hurt either for the cleaning. I normally try to not let them sit like this for more than 24 hours. Usually it's something I'll do at night and let it sit overnight, or do in the morning and then clean out at night. Just because there's a little paranoia about any kind of residue that might be harder to get out of there if you're talking about a longer time period than that. Alright, I'm just going to let that sink drain quickly, because of course quite a few gallons of liquid. While it's doing that, now I need to rinse this out. So I like to rinse out the exterior and the inside. And I like to give it three cleanings like this. So it'll be one, clean it again. Just because you don't want to wind up with any chemicals in there. That's gonna do some weird stuff to your next beer, which would be very unfortunate. So we got two. We'll do a third. All nicely rinsed here. And then I like to leave them sitting upside down, so I'll just take a bucket. I'm going to wind up moving this to a different position after I get all three of them done. I'll sit it like that and let it drain. Usually overnight's good enough for that. Last thing I need to do is just rinse off my thermal wells because they, of course, were sitting in the PBW cleaning. And then carboy hoods. This is all nice and rinsed out. And my blow-off hoses. So after I get these carboys done here, I'm going to be able to put these things in my dish rack in the one sink there and let them dry out overnight. But anyway, that is a quick and easy way, well, quick-ish, to thoroughly clean out your carboys, get all the residue out of them, anything from the Crows and from the previous beers, get them nice and clean and then rinsed out for your next batch. So you're good to go. So there you are, folks. Keep your carboys at 11.